Hi, and welcome back to the Montreal International Film Festival. I'm so excited today because we're doing another episode of our Insiders podcast with none other than Quebec's very own Karl Talbot. He's best known for his bold and thought-provoking films like Silenced as Mercury Rises, The Philanthropist, and most recently Inactive, America's Silent Killer, which premiered last July 2024 and already has over 32 awards. Karl, thank you for joining me.
Nice meeting you.
I started off with a short, brief introduction, but I think you're the best person to tell us, who is Karl Talbot?
Oh my God, that's complicated even for me. Initially, I was a marketing expert, I still am. Got involved in different projects and productions. Eventually found that film and documentaries mostly were the best way to transport a message that people would listen to. In this new age of media, was the best way to teach, educate people on causes or certain elements they should be aware of. So that's how it all began.
And what kind of films are you making,
Right now, there are documentaries based from people's experience, baggage, scientific baggage they bring to me. My first movie was Silence as Mercury Rises. It's a group of medical doctors who are detoxing people contaminated by heavy metals like mercury, lead, and seeing the impacts it had on their health. They wanted to educate people. So they asked me if I could produce a movie about it. I said, sure. And sitting with them, it kind of teaches me at the same time the situation, the health crisis. So I'm getting educating people back on that situation. That's how it all began. And funny part is, I produced some long format commercials, like infomercials in the United States. It was my first documentary movie, so I was very, very nervous. And then I won the first award. I'm like, yes, luck, fine. And then a second and third, and then eventually after a year, we won 21 awards, 40 nominations. Oh. So I was like, okay, I put my finger on something. I'm doing something good here. And the message was clear, so I was happy about that. That's how it all began.
And why health? Because you're a health advocate now. A lot of the documentaries you've done are surrounding different health topics. What is it that got you into that? Do you have a passion for that, a background in that? What is it that inspired you?
I think health is the most important thing we own for those who have it. We're actually lucky to have health when we do. And we don't see the importance and the impact it has on even the economy, on everything. Health is kind of the root of everything, our mental health, physical health. And if we have that, if we control that, we control our life. And then we can have a better life. And in society, that kind of fits. I was lucky to have a great, healthy life up to now, still am. And that's how I kind of got involved. Later on, I was on the board of a group called Fit America. And they were advocating about getting kids active again because they're having health issues because they're not moving anymore, they're not active. I kind of got involved in that part of the health business, if I can say, seeing our kids are being damaged. It's one thing not to be healthy and not be taking care of our health. That's life, it happens. But having our kids not getting a chance to begin a life properly with the proper education and tools to be healthy doesn't make sense to me. So I thought we needed to send that message, and that's how that second movie came up, Inactive, America's Silent Killer.
And speaking of that movie, so you also spoke to Robert F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
How was that conversation? I mean, that's such a crazy thing, to be sat there, talking to him.
It's a funny story. He's in my first movie, Silence as Mercury Rises, but I couldn't film him. I wasn't there at the moment. The second movie we're doing, I knew his uncle had a complete program he had built for Americans where he wanted to get them active and healthy and everything. Fortunately, we know how that ended. And he was coming back on that, so we approached him saying, look, our first movie you were in won 21 awards. Give me a chance. I want to film you and get you in the second movie. I'm doing Inactive. And we got the okay, like, you got to be at this place, that date. Was like really controlled because he's in politics. He's involved he was involved to become president of the United States. We were filming at his home. We found out the morning we were filming him. So our crew left. We got there, got installed to his home. And the humanity and availability of that man is just impressive. His presence. And I had 2 hours to film him. We're filming another movie that's going to come out called Waters, Our Last Drop. It's an environmental movie. So here's the
Oh, spoiler.
spoiler. So we filmed them for Inactive in the second movie. And I had asked a helper, the person that's with him always, if I could have 5 minutes private with him afterwards. And I wanted to present him a marketing strategy for his campaign. And he says, yeah, okay, he'll give you 5 minutes. That 5 minutes ended up being 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Just exchanging with him. And he's interested. And we're talking. I'm like, wow, okay. And we had that connection. And eventually he would add me to 2 of his consultant teams. Said, look, I'd like you to be on these teams and bring your advice and everything. And in that process, we created that relation where we're still exchanging, we're still texting, even now that he's Secretary of Health. So
you're like, hey, bud.
Hey, my friend. There's a friendship, there's a connection that created, that surpassed everything. And I understand where it comes from. And I think that's the beauty. It's all his life, all the harsh parts of his life that he's managed and controls, and he became authentic. Totally authentic, totally through. So he listens to people. He's got that connection to anyone he speaks with. He listens. He's not just there, and he connects. And we had that instant connection, and it's been going through still. Recently, I invited him to come to Cannes to get some awards over there. I don't know if it's going to be able to come, but that'd be awesome. Traveling with Mr. Kennedy.
Well, just my friend. I think you talk a lot about how he sort of let go of this wall, perhaps, was authentic with you. But I think that also has a lot to play with how you are. And there are a lot of people who will watch this and a lot of young people going into the film industry. How do you present yourself? How do you sell yourself as a filmmaker? What is it that you think is a great piece of advice that maybe you wish you knew going into it that you know now?
You need to make sure that person you're filming will never see you as a traitor, which means, I'll give you the example. Speaking with Mr. Kennedy, I told him, if I ask you any question that you don't want to answer, just tell me I'm not answering that, and we'll move on. Most people would keep scratching and say, look, he said, no, let's try it this way, let's try this. And then you're bugging the person. You're not creating that trust. So the trust and the relation needs to be there, that you'll respect that person, whatever she wants to say. That happened with Mr. Kennedy. I was asking questions, and I asked him a question. He said, I'm not answering that. I said, okay, move, next one. We're like, wow, okay. And then creating that trust would also be, give them a chance to see the movie before it comes out, just to make sure they're okay in it. They feel that they've already signed the release, they've already accepted to be filmed and everything they've said, just to make sure you respect the image they want to promote. And creating that relation changes everything.
And in terms of the message that you're building with these films, how are you translating that onto the screen? Because it's one thing for you to say a speech, write a book, but to translate something into a film that people will watch and leave with an impression, maybe something they've learned. How are you doing that?
I have a funny way of filming. I go with no true plan of how the movie's going to end up. Because when I reach someone, I'm going to use 2 or 3 minutes of an hour 30 of her, the person that I'm filming. So I don't know what she's going to say exactly. And then I'm going to pick into this. And from all those filmings, I build my story. I know where I got a sort of a canvas. I know there's an issue, like being inactive, physically inactive is the crisis. What does it end up doing? Well, obesity, diabetes, cardiac, whatever. So I know all of that. I know that's going to be part of the story. Put some numbers, put some science behind it. Make sure people understand this is science-based. But then it's just going and filming a group of people I want in my film. And from there, the story is building in my head while I'm filming them, and I said, okay, now I know I'm beginning the film with this part. So it kind of places itself in a puzzle in my mind. And then I go, at the end of filming all these people, I said, now I got my story.
That's a crazy way to work, though. You never know what you're going to get if
you're
going in just raw, thinking, let's see, okay.
It's very stressful.
And I don't think a lot of people could do that because, there's a lot of uncertainty in that. You don't know if you're going to end up with something good. I mean, you've ended up with 32 awards.
Yeah.
Like you said, the first award could be a stroke of luck.
Yeah.
But 32 awards, I think you've got to hand it to yourself that you're doing something right.
Took me a while.
And do you ever, looking at the films that you're making, is there anything that you would have changed or maybe that you would have altered or that you would want to do in the next film you're doing?
My first movie, with the limitation of budget, I went with what I had. That's one thing. Second movie, I took another approach, totally different approach. I was very nervous because I had 21 awards for the first film. So I'm kind of like, okay, I did something good there. Second movie, I changed my approach. The presentation, the storytelling was different. And I'm like, oh, did I just mess it up? I was very nervous. Got to 32. So I'm like, okay, I'm on the right path. So I need to adapt with the subject, definitely. Whatever subject I want to treat, this is going to be my star. And the people are coming to tell the story of that star. So in Activities, the crisis, people are coming to talk about that star, which is in Activity, the crisis. The next one is going to be water. So people are going to be talking about how water's the environment and everything. You can all imagine what's coming up on that. So that's the way I approach it. And that's why every time I go and film people, I know what the canvas is going to be, but not what the story is going to be until I filmed everyone and I know like, oh, I didn't expect to put that in my film. Okay. So I add to my first story, and I think that's how it builds good stories.
And how do you, because it's very different, you know, than casting a film that's fictional. You know, you're auditioning people, you can't audition people about their knowledge.
Oh, no.
But how do you find the right people to tell a story that's so real? Because you have to have people that, you know, as an audience member, you're going to trust and you're going to believe in, you're going to find authentic. How do you, quote unquote, audition those people?
I look for people who have a passion about the subject, but don't have the visibility. Like, for example, I got to work with medical doctor Peter Rawlick in Alberta, Canada. He's been working in schools and trying to get programs to get kids active, build some amazing technology to make them active. And I was doing some research on the web, and I said, okay, I got to speak with him. And so we started exchanging, and I told him about my approach, the story I wanted to tell. And I said I wanted to be transparent. I wanted to be truthful, and you're that kind of truth I need in my movie because you're passionate about it. And I think that also helps because in my films, everyone I get is passionate about the subject. I could pick up anyone that wants to talk about it, but if they're not passionate, I'm not interested. They need to be like, believe in their cause. They're ready to defend it. And that's what they're actually doing through my film. So I've got all these passionate people. I'm building this little army of passionate people for a cause. It's beautiful.
I mean, it's great. You've got a great roster so far of people that you can call and contact. Yeah. You know, like I said, you have a Rolodex of contacts, great people you can call on. But I imagine that it's also sometimes trying and difficult. Have you ever been making any of these films and thought, screw it, I'm not doing it anymore, like this is not going to work?
Never.
Never?
Never. I become attached to the subject I'm going to treat because I know it can help improve, change the world. Like the next one on water, and we've got an Active 2 that's coming up. So a sequel. So that's a first no one knows about, but...
Spoiler 2.0.
Like the first movie in Active is a general portrait of a crisis with a few solutions. And speaking with experts who saw the movie, they said, look, we'd like to help. And I said, I'd like to do a movie about the solutions, how to implement them. Not just, here are the solutions. This is how a parent can do it. This is how a kid can do it. And give them solutions from what experts know works and is fun. It needs to be fun. We need to have fun in this life. Schools, governments. So we're going to give them the map. This is how you can change the world. Because when I was a kid, I'd pick up my bike, ride, and when I'd see 5 or 6 bikes somewhere, I'd say, oh, my friends are here. I knew they were there. That's how you would find your friends. You're being active. Today, you're on their phone. Hey, how are you doing? And then, you know, they don't move anymore. They're not active. So we need to bring back physical activity into schools where all kids are all together. And this is a great experience. If you do that daily, they learn to manage stress. They learn to manage fights, arguments, and they've got an adult to help them. When you're playing sport, you can be rough sometimes, but you got an adult. So it teaches you so many things you'll need in society, and mostly for mental health. So that's why I'm doing that sequel, the second movie. It's really about solutions and proof of solutions that have worked, including Dr. Peter Rawlick I was talking about. A medical doctor in Alberta is going to be back. Jim Baugh, who founded Fit America, he's developed some great programs. So we're going to come up with the solutions and offer them to people, and that movie is going to be interactive. So people will have a chance to interact from the knowledge of the movie and change things. Wow. So it's going to be interesting. And I've got Mr. Kennedy, that's Secretary of Health now.
He's back.
So you know, he's back. And we'll sit with him and see how he can look at those programs and implement them in schools and everywhere.
When you're filming and you're making documentaries, obviously with things, whether it's politics, health advocacy, do you ever get any pushback from the government or organizations? Because I imagine that it's not easy to be kind of going against maybe what some people are saying and what you're saying or pushing for.
I would say the first one was a bit tough about the mercury part, poisoning, because some people still argue that the mercury you have in your tooth fillings is not dangerous. It is. Get it removed. The story tells it all in the movie, but that's your business. So that was a bit tough because you're kind of going against some people who want to do things differently. Physical inactivity is a bit the same. It's just that the government is slow to process that they need to get kids active. So they don't make it a priority. And until they get the pressure from the people, it needs to be a priority. They won't do it. So we do get that. The nice part is my funding is private. So I don't depend on government funding. I finance my own movies with partners. So I'm not dependent on the government to tell me, well, we're not giving you money if you talk about this or that. We're just like, we do it.
You're not censored.
No, exactly. They can't censor me.
They can't. Just watch them try to stop you.
Exactly.
Inactive 3 is coming up.
Oh, yeah.
If you know, there's so many people I think that probably have amazing stories they want to tell. They don't know where to start. What would you suggest? How do you start? How do you get your story from a thought or a conversation onto the screen?
If your story is compelling enough that you feel that if many people hear it, it can make a difference, then start with writing it down, a couple of pages. Don't make that big book. You don't need the book right away. Just a couple of pages. So when you meet someone, often the producer, I'm different, maybe I'll take the time to listen, but some won't. They'll give you 5 minutes. So if you have those 2 pages and you can get them excited, they may go like, is this a true story? Oh, wow, this is interesting. And then they'll keep listening to you. So those first minutes are important, but try to find a producer, try to find someone who's a storyteller that can take you and will take the time to listen and see, yeah, it's worth telling the rest of the people, the rest of the world, your story. So it helps. It helps them get better or whatever. Yeah.
What is the thing that you live by when you go about starting a new film? What is one thing you're like, I cannot change this, I have to do this?
I would say making sure I take the time to film everything. And sometimes it can be annoying. Like, let's say someone has a limited time. So I have to find that window, say, look, you're not giving me 30 minutes. I'll probably need an hour and a half with you, or 2 hours. Yeah. So you better be ready. Because sometimes I go ahead and I start asking questions, and it's all planned. They read the questions, but suddenly something pops. I'm like, oh, wait, you just talked about this and that. Have you ever thought of? And then I go to another question, and then it leads to something else, and then the story becomes, this is where we get the most interesting parts, by the way. It's not in the prepared questions. It's the in-betweens. In between those questions. The person will answer that question, she's ready, but it leads my mind to something else that I didn't think and putting in writing. Send it to the person, and then it becomes a natural conversation. That's the beauty. If you can make it a natural conversation, we'll do something, and now next people that I film will know, but we'll start the cameras before we start filming them. And I'll be sitting and speaking with them and asking them questions, and they're natural, and they're answering me. I'm like, exactly like I would want them on the screen. I'm actually filming them. And then I go, okay, we'll start filming. And pretty often, those first parts of first test questions we took will be the scenes we'll take because that person was passionate. And then when we start the camera, they go like, oh, they kind of freeze a little bit. They're nervous. So we're trying to get them less nervous that way.
More chill, more at
ease. Yeah.
Well, I get that. I know you've spoiled a lot of what's coming up, but what is next for you? What is the next big thing? What can we look out for?
Inactive, the sequel, seems to be leading on the movie Water's Our Last Drop. I may actually end up having 2 movies at the same time. So with 2 different teams. Involved with the movie on Waters, we've met One Drop Foundation, Guy Laliberté's foundation. They want to get involved. So that's going to be interesting, having them as a partner. They got so many things, beautiful stories to tell. What they've done, what they achieved on water, how much this is the most important resource we have with air. And we're actually destroying it. It doesn't make sense. And the thing I like to do in my movies, I don't like the end of the world movies. Like, we're all going to die. Water's going to disappear. Sorry, bye. No, that's not a legacy. I like to bring solutions. And that's the thing that probably excites me the most in my film, bringing solutions. So we've met that company. called Epuro in Quebec. They've developed a technology that cleans the waters that's coming out from any industry, cleans it up. They can send it back in nature with no toxicity in it. Then they take all the toxic mud they have and then take care of it differently. So I want to bring some people who have innovative solutions, showing the world there's hope. We just need to invest into it, do it properly. That's how we change the world, with solutions.
And let's say someone watching this is like, I want to get in touch with him. I want to take up more than 5 minutes of his time and bug him, or they've got a great story or a solution they want to give you. How can they find you?
Right now, I'm not much accessible, but I will be. So we're planning this project where I'm going to educate people on the web through TikTok and Facebooks and everything, giving them tricks how to do it, how to get their financing, how to push an idea, how to be patient. If you want to create something beautiful, sometimes you got to be patient. And you got to understand someone might come with the same subject. You're going to treat it differently. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Do it as you feel it. And so right now it's through the web, on the internet. They go on talkencounters.com or my movie, inactivemovie.com, where you can see the movie and find some ways to reach me.
Is there anything else you want to tell us? Spoil for us for what's coming up?
Well, we are preparing a major project in the comic book industry.
No, really?
Yeah. One of my friends grabbed a company who had comic books like Marvel, and the stories are beautiful. So we're going to do that switch into movies with superheroes and things like that. So we're putting that together, that project together.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be huge. And the comic series are amazing, and they've been existing for like close to 20, 25 years, but no one knew about them. And so we're bringing them back. It's a big brand, former brand. I'm not going to give the brand right away.
You sure you don't want to?
I'll keep some secrets on that, but we're working on that, and probably in a couple of months, you'll see us on the web, different places we're bringing back on the market, and hopefully develop some series for Netflix, Amazon movies, and stuff like that.
Wow. Well, we need to do a part 2 in a couple months.
Oh, yeah, that'd
when
be
you
amazing.
can give us the name and tell us more about this.
I'll bring all the comic books, show you the series.
Very
Some of the names you're going to see, you're going to go, oh my God, how did they get that? It's incredible.
Oh, wow.
They're known brands.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. I'm waiting now. I can't wait. Well, thank you so much for this discussion. It was great.
It was amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for watching this episode with Karl Talbot for the Montreal International Film Festival Insider Approach.